Welcome back. And my name is Ashwin Kumar Uppala. I'm live from India and I'm super excited to talk more about communities and inclusivity. And if you don't know anything about it, you're in the right place because we are going to talk everything you want to know about communities and how you can structure your community to be passive inclusive. So lots of jargon right there, but I'm going to desimplify and make it easy for all of you. All right, before we go ahead, quick introduction about me. My name is Ashwin Kumar Uppala. This is my second time talking at Codebar. I spoke at Codebar Festival last year. It was virtual. It was absolutely fantastic. And it was my first ever conference talk. So yeah, if you are new here, if you are new to public speaking, Codebar is a great place to give a try to public speaking. And since then, I have tried my best to get involved with communities, to build communities, to keep communities welcome for everyone. And as an organizer and as a maintainer of a community, I want to talk about how you can structure our communities to be more welcoming, even when they are not around. So let's talk a bit more about how we can structure our communities in a certain way so they follow the rules of inclusivity, but at the same time, you don't need a human interaction. So, uh, what is inclusivity? Maybe you're new here if you don't know what is inclusivity. Uh, if I pick up a random answer from Google, um, inclusivity is the practice of making everyone feel welcome, putting everyone on the same stage, and giving support to those who don't have the access or are marginalized. Now, typically, the concept of inclusivity is followed in different domains outside tech. Uh, but today, I want to highlight why is it so important in technical communities specifically. Now, who decides what is inclusive in a community like? How do you scale inclusivity? How do you say that something is welcoming and something is not? For that, it is you, the maintainers, the leaders, and the moderators of a community who decides uh, based on your geographical location, based on the challenges that you see, what is found welcoming and what is not welcome in your local community. For example, I'm in college right now, and I find that freshers who have joined right now don't feel welcome to college clubs because they feel they don't know anything about that certain college club. That is a very specific problem to my local area. And based on that, I can decide what the rules can be so that those freshers don't feel excluded from the community when they're trying out on their first step. Okay, Ashwin, but why should we care? Why should we care about inclusivity in the first place? I'm okay in not having freshers in my club. Is that fine? Well, it is fine, but it is proven that the more inclusivity and diversity that you have in your community, the performance of the community has certainly improved. And you don't have to listen to me. Most of the big tech companies out there follow or have a certain department for diversity and inclusion to help maintain the diversity and inclusivity in a community because it directly impacts the performance in a company. I hope you can see my screen, right? What is inclusivity? Or is it stuck on about me? Awesome. So, what is new here? You can just Google search about inclusivity. You can pick up a video or a previous talk. What is new here? Like, why should I even learn about inclusivity in Code Bar Festival, which is a technical conference? Great question. If you have asked that, if you're not, I'm gonna answer it anyway. Well, inclusivity is ever more important because now we are living in a remote world. People from all across the globe, including myself, is talking to you live in a London stage, which is so cool. And in order for me to feel welcomed in at Code Bar, Kimberly and the whole team has to follow some certain inclusivity guidelines. So I feel welcome. Similarly, if you are new to conferences, you must have been welcome in certain way. So uh, given how complex the communities are growing because of the diversity and the access now everyone can has, it is important that we take a look on how we can tweak our existing communities, or if you are building new ones, how we can keep them such and certain where, oh, am I stuck in about me? Okay, no problem. I can just share my whole screen, I guess. This should work. Awesome. So, what is new here? First of all, let's take a look at other companies who have done a survey of 25,000 employees out there last year, and took surveys from the employees on how they feel inclusive about their company, whether their company follows diversity and inclusion or not. A lot of big tech companies here do implement that, and the employees feel that they have really good diversity in their companies. Uh, why do we need this? Well, it gives access to jobs to all the different folks around there. Those who are working for remote places, if you are working in in London in a company which is based off another country, you may not be comfortable talking with people because of different culture. So it's important we set some ground rules for everyone to feel included, feel welcome. Let me just check. Am I okay? I think this is working. Awesome. Now, companies are good. That's great. But as a community is huge. It doesn't have to be company centric. Uh, Communities can be for colleges, for companies, for interest based or special interest groups. Uh, what is the role of inclusivity in that? Imagine you have just joined Codebar, and I don't know how, I cannot see all of you, but if you are new to Codebar, I previously told to raise your hand. I know Kimberly must have seen that. Just answer yourself, just talk to yourself. Did you feel welcome when you came to the venue today? Why? What was that particular thing that made you feel, oh, this is different than I thought? Oh, I'm new here, but these folks are pretty nice. Was it the organizer smiling at you, or saying hi in the morning, giving you some snacks, or anything like that? Take a note of what made you feel welcome, because that is exactly what a beginner needs to know. As a maintainer, as if in the future, if you go ahead and create a community, these small things make a huge difference. Uh, and as a maintainer, it's easy to ignore these. So if you're new here, note what made you feel really great in this conference today, and keep that in mind. Maybe share it with others. I would love to know what small thing that made you feel really welcome in Codebar. And if you're a maintainer, if you're a creator, or if you plan to create a community in the future, make sure you incorporate those tiny changes. If it's like smiling at the attendees when they join, uh, I would let my team know, hey, just go ahead and hang out with attendees. How do they feel? And anything like that. Now, inclusivity has played a major role in my own community, where we have students from my own state, but from different states, different genders, different experience. Really adds a lot when you're trying to brainstorm different ideas, and adds a lot of creativity and fun to the table. But uh, what is passive inclusivity? I know that inclusivity means, you know, treating everyone with respect, using pronouns, uh, anything and everything that makes you feel welcomed. But have you observed one thing? This only happens when the organizers are active, uh, when the maintainers are active in the community. When I am active, I try to point out to folks, hey, let's not use the words like guys. Let's use pronouns and all those small things which makes everyone feel welcome. Let's just say hi. Let's If you're new here, let's just say hi and how are you doing. But for that, I need to be there, right? Uh, what if I'm not there? Now we live in a remote age. Everything is digital. You are in a different time zone. I'm in a different one. Do I have to be online to maintain inclusivity? Kind of, yeah. But as the communities are scaling, I want to maintain the inclusivity, but don't have to be physically there. You can have more humans, but we live in such a connected age that we can create the structure to be inclusive. What do I mean by that? Uh, let's take an example. Before that, passive inclusivity is basically means you're making everyone feel welcome, but you're not actively working right now. So imagine you have a community where you're sleeping, but still people are feeling welcomed. How is that possible? It does not involve any human interaction at all. I want to focus on the non-human interactions, those tiny changes, tiny messages that you send via your community, which can make new folks or existing folks feel really great. These are these small signs which really make a huge difference, and it made a difference for me. Let's take example of EddieBot. Uh, EddieHub is a pretty popular open source community. You should check it out if you are into open source, if you are new to open source. And I joined it when I was new to communities, and I joined the Discord and I was like, hey guys, how's it going? And the maintainers, when the maintainers are online, they would like correct me, like, hey, we are an inclusive community. People from different time zones are here, different genders are here, and not everyone is a guy. So can you use any other, you can use other word like friends or pals. Like, thanks for correcting me. That's really good. Uh, but back then, the moderators have to be online to correct me or someone new who is joining the server. If the moderators are not online and I see someone accidentally say, hey guys or hey bro, I would correct them. But I have to be online. So that was a big problem back then. Someone had to be online to maintain inclusivity. Otherwise, you just may not feel welcome at all. Or, if there's a beginner here and who's joining the community and they're like, hey, I don't know anything, and there's no one to reply, they just leave. So people at ID Hub created a bot which just corrects you, guys, or any uninclusive word, exclusive word. It just tags me and says, hey, right here in the screenshot, it says, like, hey, this is not a good word. Try using something else. This is really great. The moderators don't have to be online. The admins don't have to be online all the time to correct me or anyone else who's new to the system. And these small nudges can be given to like make sure those tiny little bit changes of inclusivity happens. Because this is where the big change happens. When you are new here, you're in that state where you want to learn anything and everything. And small things like pronouns and words can really make a difference. Now, bots are very common. They are easy to automate. You can create a bot for everything. That's good. Cool. You want to, uh, so you go tomorrow, you say, hey, I watched this talk by Ashwin and it had a lot of inclusive words. And you know what? I create a bot, which is fine. But okay, I'm doing great so far. No comments. Awesome. So you create a bot for everything, which is fine. But I don't want you to spend resources to create new stuff just to automate inclusivity, just to make it passive. There are existing tools that you're already using. Uh, the purpose of this conversation is how we can refine those so they become better. Uh, so I know, like when you're new here, when you move for a community, super excited, and it is so often easy to like just make a mistake and like say hey guys and all. But yeah, those are not inclusive terms. And um, apart from basic stuff like pronouns and using inclusive terms, you can still make people welcomed by those small gestures. Remember, smiling at folks or saying hello or starting the conversation, following up with the conversation, or just making them feel welcome. Like, hey, you're new here. I'd love to support you and mentor you and stuff like that. But uh, what about stuff that we do after the conference ends or after the event ends? After this conference ends, I know there's going to be a lot of follow up with you. And those follow ups happen on email. Even email can be inclusive. Have you ever thought about that? Just take a guess. When was the last time you saw an email that made you feel welcome? Has it? I think all emails are super professional and like when I open my inbox, it's like work mode on, which is fine. But as a beginner, can I make like as a beginner, if I open an email, can I feel welcome by a community? Let me give you an example here. When I joined, when I did my first hackathon, I had no idea what to do. Literally no idea. Like I know how to code, but don't know what to do. what happens in a hackathon. And I only came for stickers. Yeah, I only came for stickers. I wanted those stickers. They look pretty cool, and it said you have to make a submission online. So I made a very bad some project, like bare bones project. I submitted it with no hopes whatsoever. Like I can't win. I can't get any swag for this. Like this doesn't make sense. And you know what? Maybe hackathons is not my thing. And after the event ended, I got an email saying I'm getting swag, but I was surprised that why. And this is where the email magic happens. This is where curating your content inside an email can make a huge difference. When I opened this email, I saw that the organizers thanked me for participating, just participating. I felt like I am not adding any value to the community, but they still recognized it and they would like to reward me with the swag, the sticker that I wanted. And I thought, you know what? That's interesting. I am being welcomed even though I have not made any significant contribution. Maybe let's try this community. And I joined it. And I am now deeply involved with Major League Hacking. I even work as a coach there. So it all started with this email, this kind gesture that, hey, uh, you have made some contribution and we would like to reward you, even though uh, it was not big enough. And there was no human behind it, at least not at the moment. It was automated. It was a template, in fact. Every hacker who has made a submission got this. How easy it is for maintainers and organizers to make this. And yet, it makes a huge impact to those who read it, to those who are new to the community. So, can you curate or modify your existing templates, or if you're using emailing lists, uh, to make beginners feel welcome, even though you're not around? So, creating content around that is super duper important. These are some few examples that I have shared from my personal experience, but there are a lot of actionable items that we can do. Bots and emails are good, but personally, some of the strongest points that I have seen and work are leading by example. I, as a co-founder of my community and a mentor of my community, love to talk and maintain inclusive language when I'm talking. So others who look up to me as a mentor can learn from me because I look up to my mentors who follow the same. So leading by example is definitely a strong point. So if you want to do that, see if you can try to learn how to talk in inclusive language and how to be just welcoming and approachable for everyone. So far, so good. Uh, Tackle one inclusivity challenge at a time. Yeah, there's problem with diversity in your community. There's problem with, pronouns. No one is using the right pronouns. You don't have diverse team. No one is feeling like people are joining and leaving. One thing at a time. For my community, uh, the first thing that we tried to solve was how can I make everyone feel welcome? So we did workshops to welcome everyone and then reward them by like, hey, you can join our team or you can have this reward. Once we had a welcoming community, it was a self-sustainable welcoming community. The next task was to use inclusive language. So we proceeded to correct people who would accidentally use non-inclusive language. And once that is done, then we move to pronouns, one thing at a time. Faster open communication. Speaking in public, communication in public is so important. I can never emphasize like more. It is super important that you have conversation in public because once you do that, other people who are new can learn from the conversation. More than 60% of the beginners in my community don't start a conversation. They just observe the conversation happening in public chat because they're too afraid to start a conversation. And once they see other people joining the chat or seeing that they are being welcomed, they would love to jump in. So if you are an organizer or if you're a maintainer of your own community, see if you can have conversations like debugging or anything random that would happen on DM. See if you can move it to a public chat. I personally move chats from DM to public as long as the other person is comfortable in doing so. So if you can do that, other people also love to jump in, especially those who are new. create an accessible space. This is very important. I mean, uh, even though we say communities are accessible, it is important that you take the first step and reach out to people first. Just give a heads up, like, hey, I'm always available right here, or jump in random chats, making sure that you are approachable before the folks approach you. Uh, Providing resource and support is super important. One thing that I really like doing in my community is uh, teaching them how I learn. So instead of providing direct answers or stuff like that, I redirect them to the resources where I learned from. That way, they don't get a filtered down version of knowledge of inclusivity or anything else. They learn exactly what they're looking for from plethora of resources. For example, I will drop down the link in the chat. Don't ask to ask or knowhoney.com, a great place to learn about how you can ask the right question in a lot of places, including DMs and public chats. Instead of me telling someone, hey, don't say hello or and ask the questions, I just redirect them. Check this out. This is a very cool stuff, and that can help you ask better questions in the future. So redirecting them to resources is better than directly giving them answers. So it's always a learning community. Uh, yeah, the final one is my favorite. There is no limit. You will learn a lot from. Hopefully, you will learn a lot from this talk, but it's ever growing. So take courses. Linux Foundation has a free course on inclusivity and unconscious bias. It's really good. Highly recommend. A lot of inclusivity courses are free. Keep upskilling yourself so you learn more and more, because communities are ever changing. We have new challenges now. There's something called unconscious bias, which you don't know it exists, but it does. I was learning about that from the Linux Foundation course. It is super amazing. So if you want to lead by example, uh, you must stay ahead and learn more about this if you want to implement that in your community. So take courses. There are some great talks, but I highly recommend you take courses. Most of them are free to learn more about inclusivity, because that really helps you implement them in the first place. So, wow, that was a lot. I know that was a lot. I will share the slides, I will share all the resources, but I hope you learned something new here. Inclusivity is something so sensitive we don't talk about, but has made a huge change in the leadership, in the people who join us, because it fosters people from different places to come together and really makes community very welcoming for everyone. So, um, not sure if I can take up questions because there has been a bit network lag. But if you have, I will make sure to answer them right now, or you can connect with me on my socials. So it's at Ashwin EXE everywhere, like GitHub, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you want to connect with me. Just drop your questions, say hi. We met at codebar. If it's your first time, would love to connect. I want to know how was your experience at codebar, because these are like really great place for you to get started. Uh, but yeah, that was it from my side.